We strive to bring you the most accomplished and inspiring speakers that ignite invaluable knowledge sparks to spread the light of continuous learning and development among educators, teachers, administrators, students, and parents. RRIS is delighted to host you on this delightful journey by facilitating this platform as our way of giving back to the community and stakeholders that keep us motivated. And of all things, we expect just one thing from you to share this light of knowledge with your friends, family, peers, and your network. Do invite them to register these sessions or subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ramratna International School Official. Thank you for joining today, and we look forward to an inspiring session on Will We Go Forward in March. Best wishes from Ramratna International School. Namaste and welcome to Aadharshila Talks at RRIS. Aadharshila is a platform for intellectuals converging from diverse spheres of knowledge to share novel, deep, and insightful ideas of intellect that fuel thought, conversation, and action of the minds of our audience. We believe in fostering ideas that are both highly relevant and radically different to enrich the minds of our audiences. Joining us on this platform from across the country and the world, we strive to bring you the most accomplished and inspiring speakers that ignite invaluable knowledge sparks to spread the light of continuous learning and development among educators, teachers, administrators, students, and parents. RRIS is delighted to host you on this delightful journey by facilitating this platform as their way of giving back to the community and stakeholders that keep us motivated. And of all things, we expect just one thing from you to share this light of knowledge with your friends, family, peers, and your network. To invite them to register for these sessions or subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ramratna International School Official. Thank you for joining today, and we look forward to an inspiring session on Will We Go Forward We March. Best wishes from Ramratna International School.
Namaste, good afternoon, and welcome to the 84th Aadharshila Talk at RRIS. I'd like to check with our speaker, Dr. Gunmeet Bindra, ma'am.
Very good afternoon to you, Jaya.
Ma'am,
Good
what a
afternoon.
pleasure to see you. Thank you so much for being there. First of all, thank you for accepting to be an Aadharshila speaker. I've been wishing for this for a very long time. It's a dream come true to have you speak to teachers of my school, and Aadharshila has provided the platform to connect you to not just the teachers of my school, but other teachers across the country have been with us since April 2020 when the first seat of Aadharshila talk was open. Today you are the 84th speaker.
Honored and privileged.
Thank you so much. I'm sure there's so much that the participants are going to take away in this next 1 hour. First of all, what amazes me about ma'am's talks is the stories, the storytelling. The story is something that we can all relate to as educators, and how in similar situations that we all face, a difference in the way of dealing with it can make all the difference in the outcome that you experience. So I'm sure today's session again is going to be full of those interesting stories and how we can look at the same things with a different perspective through a different lens. So today's topic, which is all about something which teachers deal with on a daily basis, it is about discipline. When we think of school, we think of discipline. When we think of discipline, we think of school. I'm sure you all can relate to it. Now, before we get into the topic and ask ma'am to address us, I would like to formally introduce today's speaker to all of you. Dear friends, Dr. Gunmeet Bindra is the Director Principal of Delhi Public School, Rajpura. She is the former principal of Welham Boys School, Dehradun. She is an alumnus of Delhi School of Economics and Calcutta University. She is the first woman to have been the head of a boys' boarding school in India. An accomplished educationist with about 36 years of experience in teaching and school administration, Dr. Bindra has held many coveted positions, including member of the CBSE governing body, CBSE Curriculum Committee, CBSE Affiliation Committee, and member of the Board of Trustees and Vice President, Asia Pacific region of the International Boys Schools Coalition. She is also the British Council School Ambassador in India. The numerous awards conferred upon Dr. Bindra include the CBSE National Award in 2014, presented by the President of India, the Bharat Vidya Vibhushan Puraskar, presented by the Chief Minister of Uttarakhand, the Pride of Doon Award, the Rajiv Gandhi Education Excellence Award, the Uttarakhand Ratna Award, and the National Award for Instructional Leadership in the Principals category of the awards at the NDTV EduComp Education Awards 2016. This is just a few from the huge list of very well-deserved accolades. Having received the #1 position in the leadership parameter for 4 consecutive years in the education world, All India Schools ranking, she received the Extraordinary Leadership Achievement Award in 2019. Which is has been ranked in Punjab and 6 All India in the school category education world in 2022. A swimming champion, Dr. Bindra was the captain of her school and college hockey teams and was also selected for the Indian hockey team. Today, as we can imagine, kind of experience and expertise comes with, we are going to learn from her how to look at daily discipline in the school with a different perspective. Without taking any further time, and without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Gunmeet Bindra to take over.
Thank you, Jaya. Thank you so very much for such a generous introduction. Thank you also for giving me this opportunity to connect with you and your team. I must congratulate you for the fabulous work that you are doing. And the thing is that a lot of people pick up responsibilities to do something noble and novel, but consistency is something that I think you can rightfully take huge pride in, because it's this consistency that lends a lot of value to any effort, however humble it may be at the beginning. So lots of congratulations to you for taking this on, and I am really privileged to be here as the 84th speaker. Please very nice. Thank you for this introduction about me, in which you mentioned that I was the first woman to head a boys' school in India. And let me share with you, my interview started at 10:30 in the morning and wound up at about 11 in the night. And one question that stayed with me was when they asked me, Mrs. Bindra, how will you handle discipline in a boys' boarding school? You're a woman. And I told them, I said, I am a woman, but they may be boys, but at the end of it, they're children. They are young men, but for us, they're children. So to all of you, dear teachers and colleagues and peers and whoever guests who are here on this platform today, I must share with you But I'm going to share this afternoon just some of my experiences. I'm no authority on discipline. It's just that I did manage to curtail and bring about a huge sense of self-discipline in my students, which is why I feel that I can share some of that with you. So I will probably do a little bit of sharing. Like I said, I'm no authority, but I would also request a lot of participation from all of y'all when we interact this afternoon. So let's begin with discipline, the changing definition. Let me ask, how do you think the definition of discipline has changed? What do you think is the difference? And I'm beginning my talk with a question and I'm hurling at you. I'll give you a little of my example. And I would say earlier, maybe 30 years ago, if you walked into a school and it was a quiet school, we would say it's very disciplined school. The discipline is very good, very strict teacher. Today, if I walk into a school that's very quiet, I would worry because there's a difference between noise and sound. If I don't hear the sound of laughter, if I don't hear the sound of cheer, if I don't hear the sound of feet running to go to the field, I would worry. So that, according to me, is one huge shift in the meaning of discipline. Anyone would like to share with me on the chat box, what do you think? How do you think discipline has kind of changed its meaning? If there is anyone who would like to speak, I would be absolutely thrilled. But I'm not too sure if I can read the chats.
I'll help you with that, but as of now, we don't have any messages.
So maybe it's too early. Maybe I'm throwing a question too early in the talk. So let's proceed and then look at.
So just to answer your question, because nobody has answered, I feel discipline is all about aligning your mind, body, and soul to what is going on and what is needed to be done at a particular time. This shouldn't have anything to do with noise and sound.
Absolutely, absolutely brilliant. Discipline is about aligning yourself to what is expected of you. It could be discipline in the kitchen. It could be discipline on the road. It could be discipline with your guests in your drawing room. So discipline is not just a word or a term that is now associated only with school. It's discipline in the office. It's discipline in the corridors, discipline on the staircase. When your body, mind, and soul is aligned to what is expected out of you, you are a disciplined individual. The training for this discipline happens in schools. Like I say, that girls borrow things in the classroom, end up borrowing lemons from their neighbors because they're not disciplined in their buying shoes. Boys who end up borrowing in classes are the ones who probably make a mess of their finances because they're not organized. And I'm using boys and girls, but I don't mean any gender bias. It could be vice versa also. So girls who borrow in school classes end up not being very well organized and disciplined in their work life also, and vice versa. So the stage for inculcating discipline is set in schools. I would not say classrooms, but in schools. And the major objective is to make sure, like Jaya said, that the whole entire being is in alignment with what is expected out of us. Because then this discipline goes beyond our school and classroom life. The next slide, please. Actually, I was wanting to have someone else on the slide so that I can have a look at the audience. But Jaya, do you think I should take over the slides myself and then run it, or do you think this is good?
So this is fine. If you want to switch the mode, I'm fine. I can help you with the chat.
I would be very happy this way because at least I get to see somebody.
Yes,
but you will have to bear with me when I say next slide.
No problem.
All right. So Nishita is helping me. So that's great, Nishita. So discipline, we all know, is a particular code of conduct according to the dictionary, but we have just spoken about a more evolved meaning of the word discipline. Yes, please. when I say yes, please, maybe. From the student's point of view, discipline is often viewed as suppression or imposed control. By and large, whenever you say discipline him, the person who is the object of being disciplined looks at imposed control coming and suppressing his behavior. Yes, next, please. Next, please. You know, in your introduction, when you were talking about when there is a recorded message that plays before the session starts, it talks about stakeholders. So in any child's life, and we are talking about children today, in any child's life, the three major stakeholders are school, the peers, when I say students, so the peers and the parents. Yes, please. We are not going to talk about anything except our role. And look at this very beautiful sentence. I will not read it to you. I want you to read it to yourself in your mind and absorb every word of what it says. And I will change the slide once I have read it at speed where I think you will be able to absorb. So what is it saying? It's saying that you need your heart, you need to give time, you need a lot of patience, you need a lot of foresight, you need a lot of intuition to protect them. Because come to think of it, an indisciplined environment is always prone to a lot of risk, whether it's on the playfield or whether it's in the classroom. An indisciplined environment is prone to a lot of risk. So your intuition to protect them will automatically get you to put in rules and boundaries, which sometimes are a little unreasonable. By and large, yes, they are in the interest of the children, but sometimes one can get overboard. So, which is why it talks about your intuition to protect them, and yet it talks about your heart, and it talks about your patience, and it talks about while you are trying to figure out how to discipline them. So when he says while you're trying to figure out, he clearly means that there is no one size fits all. So if there is an environment which is charged and is a disciplined environment, then the advantage of positive peer pressure kicks in. You know, we always talk of peer pressure in a negative sense. There's a lot of peer pressure. There's a lot of pressure from the neighbors. There's a lot of pressure from parents. I think a reasonable amount of pressure is actually healthy. And a good peer pressure can be brought in if the entire learning environment is charged to be a disciplined learning environment. Why is it that in Shanti Niketan, everyone is charged to have their creativity at its utmost? Because there is no such thing as negative peer pressure. There is peer pressure, but that peer pressure is to enhance creativity and performance. You know, when I joined the Delhi School of Economics, I was straight out of the IP college, played a lot of hockey, was a good student. I was a topper. But I was very, very fond of this one TV program called Chitrahar. Hamare zamane mein, ab to there's so much on the television. When I was growing up, there used to be one channel only, Doordarshan. And once a week on Wednesdays at 8:30 sharp, they used to play some songs, and depending on the length of the songs, they used to cover 5 or 6 songs from different movies. I was very, very fond of that program. Absolutely. I used to wait for a Wednesday night. And when I joined the Delhi School of Economics, in my introduction, when people say, what do you like to do and things like that, I said, oh, I love Chitrahar. Oh my God, the looks I got from people, कि ये कौन आ गई है हमारे college में Chitrahar types. We are Delhi School of Economics. We talk intellect. We don't talk Chitrahar. So what I'm trying to tell you is that a learning environment is charged by the kind of ethos that you set in. This is why I'm talking about discipline as an ethos and not just as an action. It's not that the school is a disciplined school because when somebody starts smoking, we suspend it. When somebody is caught drinking, we resticate it. That's action. Discipline is an action. I am talking about disciplined environment as an ethos. And everyone is charged to be disciplined, and there's positive peer pressure. And it's not easy. Raising children uses every bit of your being. Yes, please. As educators, we need a well-planned approach. Yes, next, please. Look at this. This is a little cartoon where it says Miss Hudson had noticed a sharp decline in his behavior ever since the review mirrors were installed. I'm talking about this as an example of individual approach to discipline. There can never be a one size fits all. And how do we have that individual approach? Yes, please. What gets us to have that individual approach to discipline? Yes, next slide, please. You must understand what are the various theories of discipline. And then you must understand what are your own values and educational philosophy. And then we can approach that is in harmony with your own beliefs. This is very important. Understand the theories of discipline. Many times we feel that we've been into teaching for very long, we don't need the theories. We are very practical. We've got so much of experience, who cares? But I always insist and urge teachers to read and read and read. If there is an issue on reading anything in class, in your school, in your teaching, in your anything, read about it. Understand there's so much of research that has gone into anything that you name. So read what people have researched. There would be inferences, there would be conclusions. So read about what are the various theories of discipline. Understand what your own values are, and then bring in a harmony. Because you can never inculcate discipline contrary to your own fabric. You can never inculcate discipline contrary to your own beliefs. You know, I was once taking a lesson. I was once taking a talk. I was attending a group of teachers, and we were talking about with the children. And that teacher said, "Ma'am, hum kya kare?" And she made another teacher say, "Khanna sahab." She says, "Ma'am, hum kya kare? Hum to itni koshish karte hain discipline karne ki. बच्चे कहते हैं कि ममता मैम ही सड़ी है, खन्ना सर तो हमारे साथ फेसबुक फ्रेंड है." Now, how do you deal with situations like this? The way to deal with them is understand your own values and philosophy. Understand the theory of discipline that matches your philosophy, and then bring harmony with your own beliefs. You know, in Welham Boys School, when I took over, something was the norm. But the attendance low, so पता ही चलता था कि kids are missing and then they would come back. I was used to taking a lot of rounds in the night. Kabhi 12 baje, 1 baje, I would just go to the hostels. In fact, when I joined the kid called Tushar, he was the editor of the Hindi magazine. And the year I joined, first issue that came out 1 month after I joined, he wrote, "Hamari mukhya adhyapika ke top 5." Remember in Hindustan, that used to get top 5 of this and top 5 of that. So he gave a Hindi version and he said, "Hamari mukhya adhyapika ke top 5." So one was, of course, God bless, and then 2 to 4, and one of them was Raat Ka Musafir. Because I used to take a lot of rounds at night. One night I was out on my round, and it must be around 12, and I was going along the boundary wall, and 2 children jumped inside. So they had bumped, and they just came in and they landed right there at my feet. They jumped in, little did they know, they landed at the principal's feet. I also got a start. They also got a start. I was experienced, but it took me a minute to kind of, come back and what happened. And they also took a minute, and then good evening, ma'am. And I said, "Good evening." And I showed them the watch like this. And I did like this. "Ma'am, we were hungry." I showed them the watch again. "Ye raat ko 12:30 baje hungry ka kya matlab hua?" "Ma'am, we went to the railway station." So रात को 12:30 1 बजे वो railway station पे बंद की or whatever they could get. So they said, so I told them, I said, "You come home. Now, this is my fabric." I said, "You were not going to the hostel, you will first come home." And I took them home. Somebody else may have said, "Report to the office tomorrow." Somebody else may have said, "Just get out of my sight and I'll see you tomorrow." Somebody else may, maybe, I don't know, but I took them home. I got them to sit down. And I told them, I said, look, bunking can be very, very dangerous. I said, bunking according to me is level 3 offense. Because if you are within the school and you're smoking, it's level 1. If you're within the school and you're drinking, it's level 2. If you're bunking, you could be doing everything. So you're out of the school boundary. And the worst is that you are vulnerable in terms of safety. I said, next time, I didn't get angry with them. I said, next time, I was just 1 month in the school. I said, next time you feel hungry, instead of thinking of the railway station, come to my house. Come to my house and give you food. And one of them, you know how boys are, they can be very jealous. They're class 12 kids. Very sheepishly. I was just 1 month old and a woman. So they were also checking me out. So one of them looked at me very sheepishly. There were 2 of them. So one of them looked at me very sheepishly and said, are you serious, man? And I, instead of getting upset at, you know, how dare you talk to your principal like this, I smiled and foolish or my own fabric. I said, check me out. Can you imagine a principal talking to 2 boys of grade 12, bunked and landed at a field at 12:30 in the night, talking to them and saying, check me out. There's a straw man. Good night, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. And they went away. And I was asking myself, have I done the right thing? Have I done the right thing? Sure enough, the very next day, believe me, without exaggeration, the very next day, 2:30 in the night, my doorbell rang. And I said, what's this? I got up with a start and I came down and there were 7 of them. Ma'am, we are hungry. I said, come right in. And you stay at the campus. I called him. रात को 2:30 बजे, the principal and cook were making rahas for children. Okay, that is my fabric. It may not make sense to many of you, but I talk about it a little later when I talk about punishments and consequences. Some of you may think that this is being too liberal, and I think that is a challenge to discipline the child. How far and further? Where do you draw the line? That is the trick. So maybe have the next slide, please. So what I do is I relate theories of discipline to theories of parenting, because I've been a thoroughbred boarding school principal, plus as a teacher, that's what we are doing in the classes also. So I relate my theories of discipline to theories of parenting, or the styles of parenting. And we all know that there are 4 major styles of parenting. One says obey. They're very authoritarian. Absolutely, because my nephew, he was sitting at the table. He was all maybe 20 years old, and my sister was telling him, sit down here, and he's saying, why? She's saying, because I am saying so. And that kid just sat down there, he's looking at me and saying, why am I sitting here? This is authoritative, authoritarian. Because I am saying so. Right? Next, please. This is permissive. These parents, these teachers allow everything. They set boundaries. They want to be populist teachers. They are populist parents. Shiv Khera in his book, You Can Win, says we are the no generation. If I told my dad that I want to go and have a sleepover at night, he would say no, sweetheart, and his no means no. Today, if a child goes to the dad and says, I want to sleep over, the dad will say, हाँ, कितने बजे driver को बताऊं? And अगर गलती से parent ने बोल दिया no, attack will come the answer, why? Why not? These are parents who are very permissive. I'm not saying I'm not saying that we should not allow children to go for a sleepover. I'm not getting to that. What I'm trying to put across is permissive parents are scared to say a no to the children. Permissive teachers are scared to say a no to the children. We know teachers who enter the classroom and do their own teaching and come out. They couldn't care less about what's happening in the last seat of the classroom. Permissive teachers. Yes, please. Uninvolved. Uninvolved teachers and parents. Again, something very, very serious. And then finally, yes, please. My favorite, authoritative. Where there are boundaries, you can see there are boundaries. But it's very, very authoritative, very firm. There is firmness and there is responsiveness, there is warmth and there is connect. In one of my slides later on, I will refer to this picture, just capture it in the eye of your mind. I will come back to this picture a little later. So depending on what kind of parenting you would like to engage in, will decide what kind of discipline you would like to engage in. We all know the 3D model of prevention, action, and resolution. We all know that. So if your parenting, if your teaching style is not permissive to the extreme, all parenting styles are good. It's only extremities that makes them bad. So nice to be permissive. You must allow children. But extreme permissiveness, then land up all of us in trouble. Similarly, it would be authoritative. You know, there is one I've heard of one principal of the Bishop Cotton School years ago, 40 years ago maybe. At that time, caning was permitted. Today, corporal punishment is a complete no. It's a complete no. It's banned in countries, and otherwise also it has no merit. We'll talk about that also later. But when I'm talking about authoritative and authoritative, so this principle of Bishop Cotton, was it? One of those schools in Shimla. He was very tough on the children. He used to cane them. And at the cost of repetition, let me tell you, I'm not in favor of corporal punishment at all. I'm just quoting his example to convey the point. So kids used to get very upset when he would cane them because he was very, very tough on them. But when he died, the DC of that place had put a curfew because it was impossible to control crowds on the roads. He had to put a curfew for that 1 hour when his body was being taken for the funeral. Flights were full, so people had to fly. He retired and spent the rest of his life in Punjab. People could not get Delhi Amritsar flights through Delhi, Chennai Amritsar to tribute to that teacher. What I'm trying to put across to you is no style is good or bad. It just has to be accompanied with a lot of love, and it doesn't have to be extreme. And if it is already a lot of love, then it has to be accompanied with a lot of firmness. So these children, at 2:30 they came and I gave them food. You know how children are. One day I actually had a kid come to my house at about 7:40. Ma'am, I'm hungry. I said, go to the dining hall at 7:40. Ma'am, I looked at him and I said, let's go. This is not a restaurant parallel to the school dining hall. Whether it's curry or whether it's Bengal, you please go. He said, man, now by the time I go, food will be over. I'm hungry. I said, that's a choice that you made. You made the wrong choice. You go right away. He ran to the dining hall. I, of course, checked with the cook to make sure that he's reached and he gets his curry. But then, with all that love that I showered on them, I knew where to be firm. And I think that is the trick. If you're showering them with a lot of love, make sure you don't take it to the extreme without being firm. And if you're firm with them, make sure that there are streaks, lots of love for them so that it is effective. Your efforts for disciplining them is effective. So prevention, action, and resolution is a 3D model of discipline. Yes, please, next. This definitely is not prevention. This again is weak parenting weak caregiving, weak. I'm just showing this to you to drive home the point that whatever theory of discipline you may believe in, you have to come from a position of strength. And that position of strength will come only and only if you come from a position of being right and from a lot of love. Yes, please. Next, please. Next, please. Reasons for indiscipline. Next, please. Look at this. How can I possibly a discipline problem? I'm usually asleep. The one reason of indiscipline is that the child doesn't even know, doesn't even understand that this is indiscipline. Right? You know, in Punjab, now that I've started DPS Rajpura, when I was at Welham or at VDJS or DPS Jalandhar, if parents were working, they would come and say, the mother and father would be very apologetic and say, you know, ma'am, actually, we are very busy. Our jobs are very demanding. We really can't give time to our child. There was a sense of apology. There was a sense of guilt. Punjab ke to hausle itne buland hai na, their confidence levels. I mean, they're working and they come and they sit like this. Ma'am, we are working. We don't have time for the child. Now, they're not even aware. So here I'm saying this kid is not even aware. He's saying I'm sleeping. So how can I be a problem? How can I be indisciplined? Next slide, please. This child comes from a background where he doesn't know that using foul language is indiscipline. He says, my dad used the exact same words yesterday. Does he also have to come to your office here? So we need to understand what is the cause of discipline. First, we need to understand the cause. Find out, like those kids who bunked and landed at my feet. I asked them, why did you bunk? My start point was there. Find out the cause. Yes, please. Next. Another problem, and this we are facing. You look at, I don't know if you can read, 1969, if a child did badly, the parents would be looking at the child and saying, explain these bad grades. And look at the child. He's getting a shouting, explain. Today, the bad grades are thrown at the teacher and the child is smiling and you're asking the teacher, explain the bad grades. Now, if parents behave like this and ask teachers to explain bad grades in the presence of the child, there's a problem. And we all face this problem. We all face this problem today, which is why handling discipline and indiscipline has become a greater challenge today than it ever was. Next, please. We have to believe in the traffic police discipline or the traffic light discipline. Next, please. That's the choice that we have to make. And I don't think there really is a choice. It's a traffic light discipline. Gandhiji also talked about self-discipline, self-control, self-regulation. Yes, please. Next. That is the key. Self-discipline is the expression of inner strength and staying power. Inner strength. Because when we discipline the child and the child is able to build inner strength, then there is staying power, and that inner strength stays with him all his life. Then they will not grow up to be an embarrassment. You know, there was one boy who was very violent, very aggressive, very, very aggressive. I've shared this story with a lot of people, very aggressive. And we tried everything, but somehow he would just lose control. One day at the breakfast table, you know, he was just about to pass out of school. This is one of my favorite stories. He was about to pass out of school. So I told him, I said, I took his name, whatever his name was. I'm not using the same name, but okay, for the sake of convenience, Rahul. So I said, Rahul, you'll be passing out of school in 1 month, bete. I just have to tell you, make sure you say a bye to me before you go, because my path will never cross yours, and don't even invite me for your wedding. So he says, why, man? I said, बच्चे तुम लड़का हो तो बारात जाती है लड़की को लेने के लिए, और बारात क्या होती है? बारात मीन्स हम इस लड़के के साथ आए हैं आपकी बेटी को लेने के लिए, हम इस लड़के के साथ खड़े हैं आपकी बेटी का ध्यान रखने के लिए. मैं तो तुम्हारी बारात में खड़े नहीं हो सकती. मैं तुम्हारे साथ जाऊंगी, वो लड़की को लेकर आएंगे, तुम उसको मारोगे? तो वो मेरे पास आ गई कि मैम आप तो बारात में आए थे, हमारी बिटिया को वो मारता है, तो मैं क्या बोलूंगी? I will not attend your wedding. It hit him very hard. It hit him very, very hard. And he came to me much later and said, ma'am, I really improved myself. Will you come for my marriage? I am talking about inner strength. How it works, you have to figure out. Then, if there's inner strength, there is staying power, and that is what is true discipline. Next, please. Where the locus of control is with them and not with us. Remember in the first slide I said, children feel suppressed, children feel there is imposed control. Let's shift. That is the changing meaning of definition. Let's shift from imposed control to the locus of control with the children so that they develop that inner strength and they develop that staying power. Next, please. Self-discipline is a form of freedom. This I will not explain because this in itself is a half an hour topic. I just want you to absorb the sentence and think about it. How can self-discipline be a form of freedom? Okay, think about it as teachers. Yes, next please. Punishment versus consequence. Punishment actually is a word that is in the Indian Penal Code. Punishment is a word which talks about a penalty that is imposed for retribution. Retribution means give and take. So you do something wrong, you are given a punishment. That's retribution. Retribution can also be positive, but in general parlance, punishment and retribution are kind of interchangeable. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. This is all retribution. This is all punishment. What is consequence? Consequence means every action, every choice, every decision that you take has an effect, has an impact. For me, disciplining is about consequences and about punishments. Yes, next, please. Basic guidelines that have worked for me. Next. Next, please. RSVP approach. The punishment is completely out of the window. The consequence must be reasonable, must be simple, must be valuable, and must be practical. I would add to the R's and say not just reasonable, it must also be relevant. So suppose a child, it's very often we find a child who's not done homework and we say, you've not done your homework, you will not go for games now. It's neither reasonable nor relevant. Have to connect the two. Even if you tell them that you don't have to go for games, it doesn't have to come like that your games period is cancelled. You still may not go for games, but the way to put it is, you've not completed your work in the class. I expected it to be at my table. Please finish it. Only when you finish it will you be able to go for your games. Instead of saying your games period is cancelled. It may sound the same, but it is not the same. It is definitely not the same. Valuable as a learning tool. If I tell you this now, to write your name 100 times, your own name, something that you're very proud of. I am Gunmeet Bindra, I am Gunmeet Bindra, I am Gunmeet Bindra. Write it 100 times. Somewhere down the line, you will lose. So, what is the value of a consequence which is not a learning tool? It has to be a learning tool. It has to be simple. It has to be practical. Next, please. Discipline with dignity. Never, ever, ever play with the self-esteem of the child. Never. That, I think, is one of the biggest mistakes we could do. There is one girl who never answers in the class. Never used to answer in the class. One day she actually woke up in the morning to say that I am going to now behave myself and become a better child. And in the class she answered. And suppose her name is Soumya. and Soumya answers in the class. She's a very indisciplined child, but that day she answers in the class, and the teacher says, "Wow, wow, Soumya, aaj to tum jawab de rahi ho." We played with the dignity of the child. Do you think she will ever want to answer in your class again? Never play with the dignity of the child. Yes, please. Never humiliate is the same thing. Never get into a power struggle with the children. Never. You know, I had one boy who would openly insult the teacher in front of everyone and then go and apologize to him in person. So he made his impact in front of everyone, and then he would go and apologize to the teacher in person. The teacher would accept the apology, but next time he would see that boy with all his friends, he would again humiliate him in front of everyone. So it never ended. It just never ended. We cannot afford to get into a power struggle with the children, not with anyone, least of all with the children. Next, please. Yeah, this is just someone who's being very difficult and intimidating, and there's no, and that should cover all my rules for the class. Next, please. Teachers might sometimes be the big bullies. Yes, of course. Make direct eye contact, use the power of proximity. You know, recently there's one child, class 1, 6-year-old. 6-year-old kid stole a skate from another child and took it home. The mother labeled the skate with the name of this child. Okay, so let's say I'm just.
Excuse me, ma'am, there is some disturbance with the microphone somewhere with you. Maybe
I think
because
I
of
am the way
movement.
I was. Better. I'm just the way I was.
There is some disturbance now. We just recently started.
Okay. So how to
I think
advise me to handle this?
it's better. It's better.
So I think it's just come and gone on its own. So I was talking to you about this kid who stole the skates, and the mother wrote the name of the child, and a 6-year-old child we are talking about wrote the name of the child on the skates, and they had already invited the list of children who want to take up skating as a hobby. His name was not there. 3 days later, the mother sends in a message to the class teacher saying, "Please add my child's name to the list of skaters." Now we knew that these kids belong to someone else. The teacher called the parent and said that the child did not offer skates 3 days back. How come now? She said, "नहीं, पहले उसको interest नहीं था, अब उसको interest आ गया." And very, very difficult parent. I called the child to my class, and believe me, he came holding his water bottle like this, and he was nervous. 6-year-old. I told him, I said, "Keep the water bottle on one side and let's talk." And I took his hand in my hand, and I looked at his face, and I said, "My God, you have such lovely eyes." And my God, I just praised him and made him comfortable. And I said, "You want to do skating?" Mama sent us a message, "You want to do skating?" He said, "Yes, ma'am." I said, "फिर आप अपने skates क्यों नहीं खरीदे बेटे? आपने उसके क्यों ले लिए? जेन के skates क्यों लेके गए? आपने अपने skates क्यों नहीं खरीदे?" He said, "मैंने मम्मा को यही बोला." मम्मा बोला, "कोई बात नहीं, अब चला लो, फिर वो खरीद देंगे." It was so simple to get the child to speak because I used the power of proximity. It works not just for 6-year-old, it works for the senior children also. Get them to sit in front of you. Look at them in the eye with all your love. Because if a child, a grown-up kid is making a mistake, he needs your compassion first. He has the right to be heard. He has the right to be understood. And then if he doesn't, then you have a right to deal with it your way. The beginning has to be on a compassionate note. Be firm, be anger-free, and be consistent. can't change rules and can't make it different for different people. Yes, next please. Concept of fair and not equal. You know, once a kid had written the four-letter word of the compass on a teacher's bonnet. Now, when we found that letter written on the teacher's bonnet, when the teacher came to me and said, "Ma'am, these boys have written," I said, "Which boys?" They got the boys, there were about 7 of them, and I asked them individually who planned it, who wrote it, who got the compass, who was the guard, and I gave them punishments at the different levels. Because I believe in the concept of being fair and not equal. The little junior kid was asked to guard so that no one comes and sees them. Now you can't punish that junior kid the same way as you would punish the boy who actually masterminded and wrote that four-letter word on the bonnet. So the concept of consequence has to be fair, not equal. And it must make sense. And it must be a model of what we expect from the children. Next, please. There has to be absolute no, absolute yes, and absolute clarity. The concept, when I say it has to be simple, it has to be practical. You know, the West, they have this system of social service. Even you get a ticket for driving, they give you some hours of social service to do, which is good, which is great. But we must understand that when we are assigning a consequence, we must make sure that the children understand what we're talking about. I once went to a Gurdwara, the Gurdwara in Jalandhar, and I was the founder principal of one of the schools there. When I went to the Gurdwara, one of my students who saw me and he had grown 4 years older than, he was in grade 6 at that time, and I went 4 years later, he was in grade 10. Pocha laga Gurdwara mein. So I said, "Hey," he recognized me, I recognized him. "Good evening, ma'am." I said, "Good evening." I said, "What are you doing here?" You know, as a natural question, "What are you doing here?" "Ma'am, I'm being punished because I bunked my class." So, गुरुद्वारे में पोछा लगाने के लिए उस टीचर ने बोला, "It's a good thing. You're connecting him instead of asking him to write, "I will not bunk my class," instead of making him stand outside the class, instead of spending him. उसको गुरुद्वारे में पोछा लगवाया, but the spirit of the consequence was missing. So there has to be absolute clarity about what you are giving and what you are expecting. Yes, next please. Next please. Stop doing ineffective things. We just move on because we are running short of time. Next please. So the key word is connectedness. If there is one word that you want to take away from here, disciplining your child, the word is connectedness. This is my favorite word. I use it in many presentations because somehow this word fits in with any topic. It's a magic word. So if there is connectedness between you and your children, discipline will never be a problem. Yes, next please. I want to play this little video here. It's just 2 minutes, 10 seconds.
Hello, it's called.
I got the demolition bikes.
Yeah.
It's time to destroy my school, please.
Just bear with me a second. Hello?
Hi,
What school do you go to?
I go to a school in Dublin.
And you want it demolished?
Yeah. Do you use a big wrecking ball or what
Yeah.
are you
A big ball.
right?
Well, hold on 1 second, please. Hello?
Hi, my name's Becky.
Yes,
I have a proposal for you.
go ahead.
Are you the demolition man?
Yes,
Are you the taskmaster?
go ahead. What's the crack? Hello?
I want you to help me destroy my school.
blown up.
Could you blow it up or knock it down?
Whatever you want done.
I'll blow it up, that would be better. Could you make sure that all my teachers are in there when you knock it down?
I don't know if I get away with that.
Well, nobody likes them. They give me extra homework on a Friday and everything.
Where are you coming from?
From Dublin.
Where's school in Dublin?
The one that's about to fall down.
There's lots of schools in Dublin about to fall down.
And how much would it cost to knock it to the ground?
How big it is.
Give me up here.
Okay, I think that's about all. We can stop this now. We can stop this video here. So what am I trying to convey in this video? Just a little extra homework on a Friday, and look at the bitterness in the child. She wants the school knocked down with all the teachers in it. So the thing is, the mantra is discipline should not get our children to say the teacher is mean. Discipline, consequences should get the children to say, I made a mistake. I am sorry, I made a mistake. And if we can accomplish that, good luck and lots of happiness to all of us. With that, I think I close my address. Thank you very much. It's 4:23. I don't know how much time you have, another 3-4 minutes maybe for any questions. I would be happy to take. Otherwise, thank you once again, everybody. God bless us all.
Ma'am, I have been at the edge of my chair throughout the talk, as it always happens when I listen to you. There have been various situations that you have presented before us, and how different impact and getting into bitterness, which usually arises out of disciplining approaches. So friends, if you have any questions, any thoughts to share, please feel free. You can mute. Ms. Maya, you mute yourself, I feel, by mistake. There's a hand raised, Mr. Manohar. If you have a thought to share, Mr. Manohar, please unmute yourself.
Hi, Jaya. This is Abhishek here. Good evening.
Hi, Abhishek.
Good evening.
Hello, how are you doing?
Yes, go on, please.
Ma'am, I have a group of my teachers with me, and could you please shed some light on how we could work with masses where we have about 40 children in school and yet be critical without criticism, like we discussed earlier?
So the
And some examples of real life connected to you when you've done it in the past.
Yeah, so trick manure, 40 children to a class or 20 children to a class really doesn't matter. There is research which says that the size of the class does not impact learning, right? There is a research which says that the size of the class does not impact discipline. If you are an effective teacher, you can take charge of classroom management with 40 children. If the teacher is effective, then 20 is a handful. The way to do it, or the way I dealt with it in the past, is to have a very clear set of rules and consequences. We actually sat down over weeks and drafted a manual and asked the children to say what is. Remember, I was mentioning level 1 offense, level 2 offense. We asked the children that if this is what a child does, what level would it give? So if there are boys who answer back, it's level 1. They answer back twice, is this level, third level, fourth level. Intimidating. Sometimes the children can be intimidated. One boy told a house master, and the house master threatened him literally and said, you better behave yourself, otherwise you know what's coming your way. And the kid turned back and said, sir, you can't say anything to me, you don't know who I am. In movies mein aate na, father politician aata hai, ya father politician hota hai. Sir, you can't say anything to me, you don't know who I am. What level of offense? Simple. What I would recommend, what has worked with me, is a very clear set of rules and consequences, and then administer them, because they'll be fair, they'll be consistent, they'll be reasonable, and they'll be clear. That's the way I would do.
Ma'am, and also with a new teacher, freshers join the school, it so happens that they do not have the line between, like you said, love and being, drawing the line and showing up. So when teachers have shown too much love, it becomes difficult for the children to condition themselves to go back to a stricter teacher. Now, how could a teacher work getting back to those strict lines and drawing lines after being showing a lot of love for a long time?
Manohar, the trick, what according to me works, the trick is to let them know that you are very giving, but you don't take nonsense. My first day, Manohar, my first day at the boys, the school had gone into vacation, so I joined as a principal designate on the 20th of November. 28th of November was the annual day. And post the annual day, the school goes on vacation and all kids go back, but grade 12 and 10 stay back for their extra classes. So everybody went back on the 29th morning. I called all the class 12 kids. My first interaction with them as a principal in chair. For the last 1 week, they had seen me as principal designate. For the first time, they saw me as a principal in chair. Believe me, Manohar, they were like, "Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am." And I said, "Oh my God." I said, now if I check them, I've broken my rapport with them. And if I don't collect them, I've told them this is acceptable. There was a very, very thin line for me to handle. And they were also checking out, not like you say, with a new teacher, they want to check you out. They check you out. You have to make sure that you are firm. There is a difference between loving them and being permissive. You understand the difference? Authoritative parents are very loving. They're very warm and responsive, but they know how much to permit. So I actually listened to them. I asked them how much course has been completed, and they actually chewing the gum and flushing their hair like this every 2 minutes and hands in their pockets. I mean, say it, and it was there in their body language. I listened to them discuss the syllabus, and then just before discussing, I said, "Okay, but before we discuss, I have just one thought to share with you." I said, the way you be behaving, hands in the pocket, chewing gum, doing all of this. And I acted like them. I did like this in front of them. I said, "I don't know what you're trying to prove, but I know you're Welhamites. This is not the way you behave with people. You are very dignified boys. This is not I know you're trying to check me out. You just want to have some fun with me. So I'm also letting it go. But you and I know that this is not our behavior. And you and I know that I will not accept this next time. Today is fine. It's day one. Have fun. And anyone has a chiclet, we get one. But only today." Said it that. I remember I joined PPS Arkepuram as a teacher. And at that PPS,
Miss Deepti, please put yourself on mute.
So Manohar, Arkepuram at that time, I'm talking about 1999. They would divide the class into 3 sections, and believe me, I'm not exaggerating. They were called ability, semi-ability, and non-ability. Ability was all the toppers, semi-ability was the average, and non-ability, if you please. And guess who was in the non-ability section? God bless Pranab Mukherjee, his grandson. So the likes of him were in the non-ability, some of them very spoiled. And when I handed over my timetable, I'm answering your question to a new teacher. I handed over my timetable, God bless the soul. My HOD gave me the timetable and said, "Mrs. Bindra, this is your timetable. We've given you 11th non-ability to check your classroom control. We've given you 12th ability to check your subject knowledge. And we've given you 11th semi-ability as a filler." As a teacher, they expected to be just everywhere. When I went into the non-ability section, there were eggs on the floor. And when I walked in, one of the boys said, "Ma'am, have you heard the latest?" I said, "Yeah." "Ma'am, Martin has started laying eggs." Now, how do you respond to that in the class? I looked at all of them and I said, "Okay, I can understand he's started laying eggs. I don't know who's been hatching them here." It was like, I showed them I'm not unnerved. You can talk about anything. And then I told them to sit down and I said, "Bache, been there, done that. I've been teaching since you were not even born. It's nice to have some. Let this be the last time I see this kind of behavior in the class. Otherwise, you'll find yourself somewhere else." So I think it's just a matter of, like I said, understand your own values, understand how much you want to give. Don't worry about how others teaching them, set the rules for your own domain, your own space. Get them to understand how much you love them and get them to understand that you're a no-nonsense person. That's it. I hope that answers you.
Thanks, ma'am.
Kuntal, you've been my colleague. Yes, you've been my colleague. We work together. Yes. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Teachers coming often. Most
Let me take the last one first. Choice teachers by chance. I'm a teacher by chance, not by choice. Kuntal, when I went to Delhi school, मैं अपने colleagues को अपनी friends को बोलती थी पढ़ लो किसी school में पढ़ाते नजर आओगे. I'm a teacher by chance, but once you've chosen a profession, we give 100% to it, which is what I'm doing. As far as other teachers are concerned, they don't know where to draw the line. They don't know how to be friends or friendly. Could the children know who to take for granted, whom not to? When the invigilation chart is out, have just stand behind the children and they're saying, "Acha, Kundar, आराम से चीखो एक फत्ता रख लो." मनोहर सर, नहीं यार, देख लो, मनोहर सर invigilation है. The same child will behave differently in one class as compared to another. So, like Gandhi says, na, apne kachre mein tel dalo. You look after your own domain, your own space, and make an impact. I promise you, whatever else is happening everywhere else, your space, your domain, and I'm not saying restrict yourself, but make sure that there is no compromise on your domain. If you're a class teacher, your class. If you're head of the department, your department. If you're head of the wing, primary, middle school, then your wing. Make sure that your domain is taken care of with your very clear philosophy and understanding of how to administer discipline. And then if it is beyond your domain, it is disturbing, you always have higher ups to. Isn't it?
Yeah, sure.
They say a school is a place where the principal is scared of the board is scared of the parents are scared of children, and children are scared of nobody.
And hence,
Yes, ma'am.
hence the changing definition of discipline.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. These were actually the questions were very invigorating. I'm sure you have brought out everyone else back into the discussion who were looking at the watch probably. Wonderful questions and excellent examples by ma'am with the logic, why it will work and how it works. So friends, if there are any more questions, you may quickly just ask within 30 seconds. One last question.
Namaste.
Yes, Pushpendra, namaste.
Namaste, ma'am. So, personally, although I learned a lot of things from your experience, however, one thing I must say is that although you seem like a very, someone who has a very strong command over your class and your students, I do see there is a very loving heart between you, which I can sense when you talk about these experiences. Because the moment I found that you hold anything against any of your experiences, you still have fond memories and you share with a lesson, which is the takeaway from me. So thank you so much. I really love what you said, man.
Thank you. Thank you, Pushpin. So I'm very glad that you could sense it. Yes, I have a very loving heart, but I'm a no-nonsense person. I could be making a public confession, but I've dealt with boys with a very, very firm hand. Absolute no nonsense. I remember there was a case where one parent came to me and said, "Madam, आप इस बच्चे को मैंने क्यों रेस्टिकेट किया था थर्ड स्टैंडर्ड में?" तो वो पेरेंट आ गया मुझे बोला कि मैम आप वापस ले लो ना, मीडिया ट्रायल कर लेंगे। ऐसे बिल्कुल करो मीडिया ट्रायल, इतना मीडिया ट्रायल करो, हर मीडिया ट्रायल में इस बच्चे का नाम लूंगी। तो जैसे निर्भया का केस हुआ था ना, सारे हिंदुस्तान को नाम याद आ, मैं बच्चे का इतना नाम लूंगी कि लड़की दिख जाएगा तो बोलेंगे वो लड़का नहीं है, नौकरी ढूंढ जाएगा तो बोलेंगे लड़का नहीं है। मीडिया ट्रायल की धमकी मुझे तो मैं यहाँ नहीं तो ट्यूशन पढ़ा के अपना पीछे डालूंगी। But the child has to be and I don't rescue children very easily. And I think in my 35 years of my career, I must have rescued maybe 4 or 5 children. जब बिल्कुल हद हो जाती है, और उससे भी आप rescue facilitate their admission in another school. You know what I'm saying? When they say sometimes for discipline you have to remove, because the child, if he's removed from the situation, is good for the child also. I say बिहार जितने रिफॉर्म्स की बात करती है, हम तो स्कूल चला रहे हैं, isn't it?
Yes, I remember letter.
You remember that? And I said, I'm very disciplined, but apne saath no, if you're a good boy, environment will help it. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I think everything comes down to connectedness, like Pam said. If we could take one thing from here, the children do not question your being strict, your being firm, your extreme measures at times. If they know what you're doing is out of love, out of concern, out of compassion, you want their good at the end of the day. And children are very good at sensing it. And they also can sense your fake love. So do not try to fake. The first is developing, nurturing this life skill of compassion, and it's a skill. It can be developed, it can be acquired. So as teachers, let us first develop compassion, be compassionate, love yourself, self-love, and then you can bring it out to your children. And I'm sure once that love you have in your heart, it reflects. The teachers who have the firmest hands, deal with the firmest hands, also have the softest hearts if what they're doing is emerging out of concern and care for children. Children can recognize it. The ma'am, to some extent, I could relate to all the examples you have given. Out of my 20 years, more than 10 years, I've studied in residential schools. And I'm not very proud to say, but yes, initially I've hit a lot of children. They are children who are the closest to my heart, and I'm closest to them, even after 2 decades being in this profession. Again, I'm not a supporter of corporal punishment, but let me tell you, that probably corporal is when you are taking an action using your physical force with some kind of resentment, or dislike for no respect for the child's decision. I think that's how it has to be defined. We should try without any physical power or physical force. We should be able to bring a change child, use those methods approaches, because times have changed. Children are not the same. They don't have that environment in the family and home which you used to have earlier. So today, change with the changing times, bring that connectedness with your children. I like for when I have a problem, you need to spend the time, invest time in making rules with your students. That time to pay off for a very, very, very long time later. Don't just formality, writing some classes, doing it, but please do the process with time with it. One thing which probably might make you realize what can be in the matter, do not get nerve. If a nerve, get focus. That's the inner strength that also comes in back. Realize that children, they're acting in a childish way. They're testing you at times, but let us have our respect above all this so that they understand they are just being childish. Don't be taken away for a ride with this behavior. So this is something we can definitely control if we're conscious of that. Another one last point may not be directly connected to what ma'am was explaining, but connected to one clip, the comic strip which was shown. So when the times have changed and the parents questioning the teacher about explain the bad grades, I think here a lot of responsibilities on school leaders, school leaders in our attendees. I can say this with confidence that my school parent probably would think 100 times before doing it, because I do not appreciate such a behavior. I would never ever allow a parent to do it. If I come to know, my teachers would know that I am there in their defense. Whatever happens, nobody has a right to question the teacher, disrespect the teacher, humiliate the teacher. And that is where we all together, fraternity, have to understand we can change. We can change the scenario.
Absolutely. I just want to give one closing remark to say that, like you said, it's everybody's responsibility. And as school leaders, if we protect our teachers and give them the power, we have to in turn reciprocate with living up the faith that we as leaders, repose. And then, despite all rules, despite all efforts, despite everything, children are children. They will still challenge us. They will still fail us sometimes. But at the end of it, I have only one sentence to say: all of it is worth it.
We have to take your for it, as you have spent 36 on it. So I'm sure we will all feel the same by the end of our career, where we can feel it was all worth it. We are the best of the profession. Thank you so much, ma'am. Words would fail to express my gratitude and my love for you. Like Pushpendra spoke about the blend. She really is a bit of both the things. And I've given you a nickname. Do you remember that?
Yes. You sent me a WhatsApp with that nickname.
What?
You sent me a WhatsApp to send me a reminder for today's date. Huh?
So, I have been calling her the She's the Sherni. She doesn't say Sherni. No fear.
Thank
And
you.
that's an ideal for me. I look up to you, and I want you to know that. We all are very thankful.
Thank you. I look forward to meeting you guys in person sometime. And thank you to everyone who put up questions. Made me feel very nice. It's like a teacher in the class. Thank you, Manohar. Thank you, Pushpendra. Thank you, Kuntal. Thank you, all of y'all, for engaging in the conversation. And thank you once again. God bless you, Jaya. And God bless everyone directly or indirectly associated with your efforts. God bless.
Thank you, ma'am. Love you so much. Take care of yourself. Keep guiding.
God. Thank you. God bless us all.
Thank you, ma'am.
God
Hope
bless
to host you soon physically in my school.
Pleasure. Looking forward. God bless.
Thanks, everyone. See you next Monday at the 85th Aadharshila talk with another inspiring educator, revitalizing and re-energizing us as educators. So see you. Thank you for being with us. This is Dr. Jaya Parekh on behalf of Ramratna International School and Aadharshila Talks at RRIS, signing off. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. It was
Thank
indeed a wonderful
you.
session.